Hi, I'm Jacob Lewicki. I'm an architect and a drawing teacher. I invite you to a short drawing warm-up when I'm going to show you a few techniques that will help you in a drawing process.
First exercise for warm-up is drawing some simple lines. So your task is to draw a lot of lines to warm up your hand. I like to make some 2 points and try to connect them with line. I go to all different directions, trying to keep the lines straight. Don't worry if you miss the point. It's just an exercise to make your hand more precise while drawing. I like to make a line from point to point 2 times. Usually the second time is much better and more precise. Play with the lines and let your pencil follow the hand. Try to lock your wrists and then go with the whole arm. So now the paper is full with lines and your hand is ready for some more difficult stuff. The second exercise is drawing circles and ellipses. Just start to draw a simple ellipse. Don't draw it with many lines, but try to do it with one circular move. It doesn't matter if the ellipse is more full or more flat. Use the whole paper. Go in different directions. Try to lock your wrist and do the circle move with an arm. Try to keep the paper at the same place and only move your hand. It shouldn't take more than 2 or 3 minutes. Just play with this exercise and try to have fun. The third exercise is more artistic. It's about trying a different type of gradient. Start making vertical lines. Press hard at the beginning and release the tension gradually. I'm using a sandpaper to make my graphite more flat. Change the position of the pencil. Before, we kept pencil more vertical, now we keep it more flat. The first one is more detailed, and the second one is more blurry. Then try the angled version. And then the angled flat. Now, try to make a gradient with a circular motion. I'm just repeating small circular movements. The last one is just gradient with lines. You press the pencil and release the tension while moving the pencil. Just press and release. I'll show you some tools that I'll be using for this drawing. The first tool is a simple pencil. I use 3B and 5B pencil, but you can also use 2B and 4B, for example. The next one is just a simple eraser sharpened at the end. You can do the same with your eraser just by using a knife. I also have a kneadable eraser. It's a tool that almost all artists use. You can shape it as you like. Its task is not to completely wipe the graphite, but to weaken the intensity of the graphite. You take off the intensity of the graphite just by touching or rubbing. The last one is the pencil sharpener with container with 3 different holes. At the beginning we find characteristic points for the eye. First we find the geometrical arrangement in which the outline of our eye is to be placed. This is a sketchy designation of certain point which we connect with delicate lines in order to easily determine the position of elements of the eye, eyebrow, iris, cornea and others. Connecting these points, we slowly begin to sketch some arches, because our eye is not built on straight lines, but on irregular arcs. Here, the arc will follow our eye and sketch the oval of the eye. We see that it is convex, but we do not show it in the sketch yet. Here we have a tear gland. We look at its proportions, and then we draw the lower part of the eyelid. I run the line very gently, sometimes a few times, and then I strengthen the line a little bit. Because the eyelid is a bit thick, I draw not 1 line, but 2. The upper lid also has some thickness, which we as well indicate. We are beginning to see a certain outline of the eye. Because the eye is a ball and sits in the eye socket, under the eye a delicate edge is drawn, a sac under the eyes. And now the upper part of the eye socket, where the eyelid ends and goes into the nose. We mark the distance of the eye from the eyebrows and then the thickness of the eyebrows. We sketch the shape of the eyebrows. Very sketchy and gentle for now. Now we check the direction that eye is looking at. After we determine which way the eye is directed, we can draw the edge of the iris. If the eye is looking straight ahead, as in our case, then the eye will be in the shape of an ellipse close to the circle. The iris will almost always fall under the eyelid in its way. Then we draw the pupil in the center of the iris. There will be also a flash somewhere, a flash of the light source that will be seen on the iris and pupil. The flash of the light will give us the effect of the glossiness of the eye. The lower eyelid is directed downwards, so we shade it. The eyebrow will also be gently shaded. The corners of the eye and under the eyebrow will also be dark, so we apply a delicate value. I also apply the value between eyebrows and eyelids. Here the eyebrow goes a little forward, so I shade it in such a way to show the place where the arc is more protruded. Thanks to this phase, we will slowly start dividing the spaces in the drawing. The lateral plane of the nose will also be a bit darker. Remember that for now I use only two values, grey and white. This is not yet strong shading, but delicate, which is in preparation for the next phase. The iris will also be dark, so I gently darken it that the pupil does not disappear. I strengthen its value a bit. The next step will be bringing out the deepest shadows, and for this process I will change the pencil from 2B to 4B. It's about the softness of the graphite. It is easier to make some black and dark grey values with a 4B pencil. See immediately how dark my lines are? With still gentle movements, without too much pressure on the pencil. I draw with delicate blurred motions, not uniform lines. Thanks to this I get the tonal transitions. The shadow of this eyelid is reflected in the eye. It reflects the curvature of our eyelids. I draw to the point where the eyelid connects with the tear duct. From the tear duct I also gently pull the shadow over the eyelids. This edge is darker here and then goes under the eyelid. Then I shade one of the darker places, the connection of the eyelid with the eyebrow. I press the pencil very gently. You don't need to press hard because 4B pencil leaves intense lines even with the gentle shading. This part is retracted, so it will be hidden in the shade. Now I draw eyebrows quite simply, just as a hair is arranged in this way. I do it for now, later I'll be able to work more on them. Now I start under the eye and begin to shade the part more strongly to emphasize the roundness and convexivity of the eye. The lower part of the eyelid forms the spherical surface of the eye. It is good to take a piece of blank paper and put it under your hand during shading, so you don't smudge the drawing accidentally. Graphite of a pencil makes our hand dirty, and then we can stain the drawing with the hand. And the softer the pencil, the easier it is to smudge. I improve the iris intensity and strengthen the edge a bit. Then I do the same with the pupil. With an eraser, I wipe the point where the light appears. Now I shade the side of the nose and the cheek a bit. I strengthen the shadow under the eyebrow. Here the shade goes deeply into the eye socket, so it will be a little darker there. Darkening will make this part of the face more three-dimensional. Gently underline this part of the eyebrow arc. I'm shading now at more horizontal angle. I gradually strengthen the shading, to be more happy with the effect. And I do the same with other parts. I strengthen the values and darken the shadows. I'm working for a moment on this corner of the eye to show the deep of the eye socket and the roundness of the eyeball. Blur the place where the eyelid goes on the cheek to create a soft tonal transition. We don't want to make wrinkles here because it's an eye of a young person. I emphasize the place of the eyelid that goes down by gently shading. In this way, we bring out the brightest illuminated parts. Remember that to show the light, we don't always have to wipe something with an eraser. A great spot surrounded by black will always appear brighter than the same grey spot next to the white or grey background. See, that piece of paper under my hand helps me not to get my work dirty. With the shadow spots already marked, I slowly strengthen them one by one. A lot is going on around the tear duct. It is worth to trace the smallest details and connections. I also strengthen the shadow on the nose. See, I make very gentle soft movements all the time and slowly fill the drawing up. It's a bit better to add several layers than blacken the drawing too quickly. I'm not in a hurry, I'm here for you, so you don't have to hurry as well. All my lines are soft and merge into spots of different values. Now, I will also strengthen my eyebrows. I bring out the corner and the edge of the upper eyelid. Now I can press the pencil a little harder. The eyeball is also not entirely white. I apply a delicate layer of a grey tone on it. In this way, the light in the eye will also stand out. This will be the only really intense white element. I strengthen the dark lower side of the upper eyelid. I'm starting to darken and strengthen the iris. After strengthening the iris, the light reflection on the eye is automatically strengthened by contrast. After placing the light reflection on the eye, we can show where the light comes from. The light falls on the right side, so the shadow ends to the left side of the nose. We strengthen the light reflex outline by darkening the iris. We see the light source gently curving through the eyeball's sphericity. The plane of the light adapts to the sphericity of the eye. The light falls from this direction, and therefore the shadow form in such a way. Now I focus on the pupil and blacken it. Then I extract the edge even harder. I darken the corner of my eye, then gently wipe the bright part of the eyelid to make it stand out. I strengthen the shadow a little more. Time to correct the eyebrow edge. If you have drawn the eyebrow too thick, we can always use an eraser and wipe it a bit. Now I will add the iris details. I draw lines that radiate from the central part of the iris. Note that these lines are not regular lines, but irregular pencil strokes. Now we go to eyelashes. The eyelashes will be straight and drawn as short lines or even points in the center, and following the eyelid curve, eyelashes start to be angled and curve a bit. Now, the final touches with a pencil. I draw delicate skin bumps. For the lower eyelashes, I use the same technique as for the upper ones, but the lower rows are much more shorter and less visible. Draw the reflection of eyelashes in a flash of the light in the eye. And finally, I darken this slightly. Now a short summary. So the eye is a ball and it lays in the eye socket. Above it is an eyebrow. The eye is deeper than the eyebrow. That is why this part is in the shadow. The light source is on the right, so the shadow goes from right to the left side.
That's it, guys. I hope you enjoy my video. Thank you for being here today. I really appreciate you took the time to be with me and watch my tutorial. You have any doubts or any questions, please let me know in the comment section below. I'll be more than happy to help you.